Today is Tuesday, Beis Oder, Tavshin Ein Gimel. We are in Teres Menachem Sefer Mamar Tavshin Yud Aleph Tavshin Yud Beis in the Mamar Usfartem Lochem of Lagwemer Tavshin Yud Aleph, and we are up to chapter 4 on page Ayin Zayin. We are middle discussing Sfiras HaOmer, the counting of the Omer, and the birur, the refinement of the animal soul, which it signifies. And the Rebbe explained that there are three components to this birur, to this refinement. There is the first step, which is the refinement of the animal soul's intellect, which we accomplish through, or is signified in the idea of bringing the korban ha'omer, the omer offering, made out of barley, flour from barley. The idea of barley, of grain being related to intellect. A child, an infant can only call out Abba once they taste the taste of grain, because that's connected to the das, of knowledge, intellect. Then there is the birur of the midas, the refinement of the emotional aspects of the animal soul, and that is there are two components to that. There's the general refinement, and that would be the idea of the weeks, counting the weeks, because the week represents one whole sfira. And then there's the counting of the days, which is a very detailed and particular refinement, which is the main idea of Sfiras HaOmer, where we count the days as well as the weeks. And the idea of counting the days, or the refinement of the Sfira as it's broken down in all its particulars, is the concept of Hiskalelus HaMidas, the integration of Midas, where each Midah, each faculty, each attribute is integrated and made up of all the other Midas as well. So you have, in Chesed, for example, you have Chesed Shebe Chesed, Gvura Shebe Chesed, Tiferes Shebe Chesed, etc., and in Gvura as well, and so on and so forth. And this is the concept that the Rebbe is going to address now. So we're up to chapter 4, on page Ayin Zayin, Ois Dalet. Ubir inyan iskalelus hamidais, to explain the concept of the integration of midais, of the faculties of the soul. Eich kol midah klula mizayin hamidas, how each faculty is integrated from all other seven, is made up from all other seven. And the Rebbe spells it out. Uledugma, for example, the midas chesed. Take, for example, the emotion, the midah, the faculty of, the attribute of chesed, kindness. Sheneis of al-klolas midas chesed atzma. In addition to the general idea of the emotion of chesed, of kindness itself. She'inyana, what is the idea of chesed as it plays itself out in man's service to Hashem? The idea behind chesed is ahavas havaya, the loving of God. We're talking about obviously chesed of which nefesh? The nefesh alikis, the godly soul. Harihi klula gam mikol hamidus. So this midah of chesed, which expresses itself in the idea of loving Hashem, is also integrated and made up of all the other midas, of all the other emotions. The inyan chesed shebe chesed. So we start with chesed shebe chesed. Chesed within chesed. What is the idea of chesed within chesed? Within chesed, I know shemitzad ahavosei lahavaya, because of his love to Hashem. Harehu oyeves oyhavei havaya. He also loves those that love Hashem. That's chesed shebe chesed. Shekasher misha esek with the b'datayv v'kim mitzvahs v'yiras shemayim, when he observes someone, when he sees someone learning, occupying himself with learning Torah and fulfillment of mitzvahs with the fear of heaven. He is awakened with a love to that individual, to that person. That is chesed shebe chesed. That's one mode, one way of explaining and describing chesed shebe chesed. Ukmekein, so too, mitzad ahavasi lahavaya, because of his love to Hashem, which is chesed. Then his occupation and his interaction in all matters that are related to Torah and mitzvahs, he bezvizus, is with agility and with energy.
Alacrity.
Alacrity. That is chesed shebe chesed. The inyan gvura shebechesed. What's the idea of gvura within chesed? Strictness within chesed. Hainu. This expresses itself in such a way. She'ahavosei lahavaya misbatas bekavahofchi. It means that his love for Hashem expresses itself in an opposing mode. Meaning, shesoinei es menagdi havaya. He hates those that oppose God. So that is what? Gvura shebechesed. It's a gvura which emanates and results from what? From chesed. Because he loves Hashem, therefore he despises those things that oppose Hashem. V'inyan tiferes shebechesed. What is the idea of tiferes within chesed? Tiferes could be translated as beauty. Tiferes could be translated as mercy. Tiferes could also be translated as, from Lashon hisparus, pride, taking pride. The idea of tiferes within chesed is hu'inyan hahisparus haba me'achesed. It is the taking pride which comes as a result of this chesed, of his love to Hashem. Shekasher roya mishalem teira mekayim mitzvos mitoich noyam va'arevus mitagishmak, when he sees someone learning Torah and fulfilling mitzvahs with a pleasantness and a sweetness, with a gishmak, with a taste. In other words, you see somebody that's really enjoying and is really into learning Torah and fulfilling mitzvahs. Harehu mispair ala yofi shebetorah mitzvahs. He then takes pride and expresses a pride on the beauty that one finds, on the beauty that one can see that within Torah and mitzvahs. Be'ezei mida oif viful, to what extent yechela haTorah viful ba'adam, to what extent Torah can affect the person. Look how beautiful Torah is. Look how great Torah is. That it look what kind of an effect it can have on a person. That is tiferes shebechesed. Now we know that in the makeup of the midas, generally the 6 midas are considered like one entity, right? The Eir Anpin, the small face, is what? Is the 6 midas in the as one entity. In the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei, in Hashem's name of Yud Kei Vav Kei, the Yud is Chochma, the Hey is Bina, the Vav is a catch-all for what? For the 6 midas. And the final Hey, of course, is Malchus. So, the point being that when we talk about Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes, and then the following 3 midas, the following 3 faculties, the following 3 emotions of Netzach, Hod, and Yesod are Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes taken into the next level. In other words, Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes is more the idea of these emotions, as we just explained, as they are within the person. Netzach, Hod, and Yesod, this section of the Shiur is dedicated to Eddie. Netzach, Hod, and Yesod is the idea of taking Chesed, Gevurah, and Tiferes and beginning to apply it. And the Rebbe spells it out. So in other words, Chesed, Gevurah, and Tiferes are the main aspects of the midas, of the emotions. Netzach, Hod, Yesod are taking the main aspects of the emotions and applying them, beginning to apply them to the outside. In addition to the integration of the main aspects of the midas. The main aspects of the midas being chagas, Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes, klulim bechesed gam anfei midas are also in Chesed are also integrated. The branches of the midas, the branches of the emotions, nehi, netzach, hod, and yesod. The netzach shebechesed, the idea of netzach within Chesed, netzach meaning what? Victory or triumph. Hainu, this means shemitzad ahavos lahavaya. It means that because of his love to Hashem, which is the Chesed aspect of it, hinegam kasher yesh meinim akrim, then also when there are hindrances and things that hold the person back and blockages, harehu menatzeachas atzmai, he conquers himself, lamed neged kol meinei achulu, to stand against any hindrance. That is the netzach shebechesed. The oitzo is even more so. When there is such opposition from the outside, and he has no strength. In other words, his power to triumph or to be victorious, his resolve, as it were, weakens. He has no koyach to fight that opposition. Why? Ki rabim kamu alai, which is a quote from a pasuk at Tehillim, because many have ganged up, have gotten up against me, it becomes too much. Then because of his love to Hashem, he fights with those that oppose him. Which is the idea of hoid within chesed. The sincerity, the admittance, as it were, within chesed. Netzach and hoid, there are different metaphors that are used to describe how Netzach and hoid work with one another. Netzach, on the one hand, is this power to be victorious, which is, in a sense, full-blown metzias. You need to be an entity, right, to be victorious, to be determined. Determination shows on a very strong resolve. Haid is from the expression of Haidah, admitting, submitting, right? And nevertheless, they work together. Why? One of the metaphors used for Netzach and Haid is like the two stones of a millstone. Through the process of one stone grinding on the other stone, you get the result. So Netzach is the idea of this drive to be victorious. But what happens when there's such opposition that your resolve is lost, is losing itself? So then you have Haid. In other words, when in the process of trying to fight against anything that opposes, suddenly you say, I can't anymore. What's going on over here? I don't understand. This is too much for me to handle. Comes Haid, where you submit to Hashem and you say everything is from Hashem and everything must have a reason, everything is for the good, and even though I don't understand and so on and so forth, I submit to the will of Hashem and I carry on nonetheless. So even though it's the in a sense the opposite of Netzach, nevertheless it's a faculty which allows the Netzach to carry on even in such circumstances where Netzach on its own would not be able to. So that's Haid.
How does that relate to Chesed? Because Netzach is connected to Chesed.
Because Chesed is the idea of giving. Netzach is the idea of being victorious, going forward. Haid is the idea of submission, which is the idea of Gvura, where you recede, so to speak. The Inyan Yesod Shebechesed, what's the idea of Yesod? The bonding, the level of bonding within Chesed. This is when he comes to such a state where he's not attracted to Torah mitzvahs at all. He's lost his lost his enthusiasm. Because he loves Hashem so much, he connects to the Torah with all the threads of his soul. Beyond any considerations. Add to such an extent, he connects to it. He finds within his soul, those threads that connect him to the Torah mitzvahs, and that awakens him with a tremendous desire to Torah mitzvahs, which is the idea of Yesod, the idea of bonding. And then we come to the Malchus aspect of all of this, that all of it finds expression in a practical sense, where in the machshava dibur ma'aseh, in the thought, speech, and actions of the person. To such an extent that as a result, all his thought, speech, and actions are only within the confines of Torah and mitzvahs. Which is the idea of Malchus within Chesed. So this is basically the Rebbe spelling out the hiskalulus hamidus, the integration of midas in one midah in Chesed. And just like Chesed is integrated from all the midas, so too it is within all the midas, that each and every individual midah is integrated from all the others. The Rebbe doesn't go into spelling it out, but he just brings an example from Chesed. So this is over here. This until now the Rebbe explained how the midas are integrated, how midas and Chesed is integrated from all the others, as it is in the nefesh elokis, in the godly soul. On the top of page Ayin Ches, v'hinei Kashem shebenefesh elokis klula kol midah mizayin hamidah is just like in the godly soul. Each midah, each faculty, each emotion is integrated from all the other seven. Kain hu gam benefesh abamis, so too it is also in the animal soul. Why? Because as the pasuk says in Koheles and Ecclesiastes, is how do you say it in English? Ecclesiastes, because this one, opposite this one, God made, meaning to say, He made parallel forces and they have similar identities. Just like, so now let's take Chesed in the Nefesh Abamis, the idea of Chesed love of the animal soul. Hinin chesed shebechesed. What does it mean? Love within love of the animal soul, or chesed within chesed of the animal soul. What's the idea of chesed of the animal soul? Loving material things, physical things. Chesed shebechesed means that this love for material things misbatas b'tshuka gluya legashmius. It expresses itself with open desire or even lust to physical matters, to physicality. That's chesed shebechesed of nefesh habamis. Gvura shebechesed. What is the idea of gvura within chesed of the animal soul? This means that as a result of his love to physical things, he despises someone who opposes him in this matter. If he finds opposition to his love for material things, he will despise that entity or that person. For example, when one says to him, when he's being told, how is it befitting for you to be sunk into animalistic matters which are not according to the quality of the human being? So when he is told that, he despises someone who interferes with him in that way. What is the idea of the pride within chesed? It means that in addition to being drawn to physical things, he also brags and becomes excited in this fact that he is drawn towards physical things. The idea of this victorious determination within chesed of the animal soul, hainu shegam even in a situation where, for whatever reason, his being drawn to physical matters is losing its resolve, he conquers himself, and he awakens himself. He recreates this desire and this draw to these physical things. This is, so in a sense, the Rebbe is explaining also in Nefesh Elokis and Nefesh Habamis both, that Netzach is the idea of overcoming blockages from within. The Yeseidim is even more even when there is opposition from outside of him, when he's being shamed and embarrassed, and he's being told, and they're saying, take a look, how Yehudi ben Avram Yitzchak Yaakov, a Jew, the son of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Shakua bin Yanim Behemim, is so sunk in animalistic things. Even more so, not only in animalistic things, bin Yanim Asurim, in prohibited things. So even when he's embarrassed from the outside and he's shamed, he fights. He fights against this, that this should not disturb his desires. This is the idea of what? Of Haid Shebechesed and the animal soul. What's you say Shebechesed? The Kol Kach Godel Tavosai. His desire, his lust becomes so great. You say this idea of being connected, bonded to the taiva, to the desire, to the lust. So he's so involved, his taiva is so great that he becomes so essentially bound up with it. Which is the idea of what? Yisoid of chesed, of the animal soul. And then we come to Malchus Shebechesed, to the extent that his thought, speech, and actions are what? In materialistic things. And so he sinks from one low ebb to a lower ebb. Until he comes to engaging in prohibited things. Which is the idea of Malchus Shebechesed, of the animal soul. So this is his Kalulus Hamidus in one midah in the Nefesh Elokis and the Nefesh Habamis. Another couple of lines. Chapter 5. Hinei Ikir Inyan Birur Prote Hamidus Nishlam B'Yem Lag Ba'emer. So what? Now we come to Lag Ba'emer. What is the sphere of Lag Ba'emer? Haid Shebehaid. In the spheres, once you hit Haid, it's basically Yisoid and Malchus already follows from there. Yisoid is the connection to all that precedes, this bonding, the iskashos, and Malchus is the expression, the actual application and expression. So once you hit Haid, you already have more or less the main components of the midas. So Hoid is considered the end of the main aspects of the midas. What's Hoid Shebehoid? The sum, the absolute sum of that. The main job of refining the details of the midas is completed on the day of Lag BaOmer, which is the level, the idea of Hoid Shebehoid, Hoid within Hoid, Shezehu Hasayf Likra Midas, which is the end to the main aspects and the main dimensions of the midas. We'll stop over here. We'll continue this from tomorrow.